Blue Fuzzy Slippers from Hell, a bedtime story for nasty children. The day dawned strangely. First the sky was dark, then pink tinged with red, then blue. Come to think of it, maybe it didn't dawn so strangely after all. At 6:59 a.m., an alarm clock emitted its piercing electronic scream, rousing Andrew Bromley from a peaceful slumber tinged with erotic dreams of disk drives, hard copies, and spreadsheets. As usual, he lay in bed until 7:10, then arose, stumbled to the window, flung it open, stuck out his head, and took a deep breath of early morning smog. Then he returned to the bed, sat on the edge of it, and absently reached for his blue fuzzy slippers. But the moon had been blood red the night before, and this was not to be a typical morning. As Andrew reached for the slippers, he thought he heard a low growl. He glanced down and saw two pairs of eyes peering at him from under the bed, and they seemed to be coming closer. He grabbed his slippers and leaped back, only to notice that they had sprouted eyes, exactly like the eyes on whatever it was that was under the bed. What was more, they were growling, exactly like whatever it was that was under the bed. With gut-churning horror, he slowly peered down and discovered that whatever had been there was gone. The slippers growled again, and their eyes blazed. Andrew screamed, flung the slippers into the air, and ran to the other side of the room, where he stood, transfixed with terror, staring at the slippers, which had landed on the bed and were now grinning evilly. Their eyes glowed blood red, and his legs turned to jelly. He crumpled to the floor, and as he stared at the slippers, he noticed two more on the bed. A horrifying thought flashed into his mind. "Oh my God, they're breeding!" He covered his eyes, praying that the ghastly sight which assailed them would go the way of the disk drives, hard copies, and spreadsheets. But this was no dream. When he looked again, there were two more pairs, then two more, then... It was too much. Andrew buried his face in his hands. As he sat, sobbing with terror, he became aware of a strange shuffling noise. He peered through his fingers, and what he saw chilled the blood in his veins. He was surrounded by blue fuzzy slippers with glowing red eyes, moving in for the kill. He tried to clamber to his feet, but found it impossible. He crawled backwards, only to find himself pinned against the wall. With eyes like saucers, he watched them closing in. Closer, closer. They rose like blue fuzzy cobras to strike. He screamed. When Andrew Bromley didn't show up for work that day, his employer became suspicious and contacted the authorities, who went to his place of residence and knocked on the door. When there was no response, they broke it down. All they found were a small piece of green flannelette pajamas and 72 pairs of blue fuzzy slippers, each with a very satisfied grin. Wasn't that nice, kiddies? Sleep tight.